Hi there guys, and welcome back to the Joe Gardner channel. So before we get stuck into making a lightsaber part 2, I want to do a modification on the lathe. So I've been onto Warco's website and I found a DRO that they recommend can be fitted to this and the Super Mini lathe. So a DRO, what does it stand for? So a DRO is a digital readout. It basically allows you to go back to the exact same position every time and also measure super accurately your lengths of cut and your depths of cut. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be installing a DRO onto the lathe. If you like what you see in this content and you want to see more, smash that thumbs up button and please subscribe. Everyone that subscribes, drop a comment below just to say subscribe and I'll reply straight back to you. But for now, let's head over to the workbench and see what the DRO kit has inside it. Let's take a look at what we have in this kit then. So we have an operating manual and a kit content. That basically shows you everything in there, which I'm going to be showing you right now anyway, so we don't need that. So we have the DRO itself. This basically displays your X and Y position, which is basically along the bedways and across the bedways. So that is what most of the information is going to be displayed on. Have a kettle plug to power it up. So we have two magnetic pickup sensors. I think these are both identical actually. Yeah, they look identical. So yeah, these basically pick up the movements and that's what gives you your values on screen. So okay, next we have like the magnetic runner in here. So that's what the sensor picks up on. Another magnetic strip, so that will go along the bed. Then we have an assortment of bolts, all to fit it. So straight out of the box, that kit looks fairly straightforward. So the first thing you want to do to make this easy is remove your tailstock. So slide the tailstock out the way. Then you want to wind your cross slide all the way back so you can get to the two access bolts that allow you to turn it. They're quite a way back normally. Here they are. So now with them exposed, you can undo them with a 4mm Allen key. So there's two of them. They shouldn't be super tight, so you don't need to be swinging off of them. But yeah, undo these all the way out. Supporting the back of the cross slide. Once both of those are removed, you should be able to just lift your cross slide up just like that. So put your cross slide out the way, so you won't be needing that for a minute. So with the compound slide off, you're left with this bottom part here. What you now need to do is you need to undo these 3 Gibbs screws, 1, 2, 3. So using a 7mm spanner just to crack off the lock nut. Again, these shouldn't be super tight. And with the lock nut cracked off, use a 3mm Allen key. Just completely remove the grub. They're basically grub screws, but I think they call them Gibbs screws. So remove these 3 Gibbs screws. You probably could leave them in place, but you don't want to bend these or accidentally snap these, so it's probably best just to remove them. Lovely. So with them now removed, you can wind this all the way out, and when it gets to a certain point, it'll just come off the end of the gear there, or the shaft should I say, and you should just be able to, there we go, just be able to slide it the rest of the way off. So with this now off, we need to drill and tap some holes into this. So for that we'll go over to the pillar drill. So with a magnetic strip in a place that you're happy with on the block, you want it pretty much central lengthways, and you want it slightly on the lower side because there's a protective plate that needs to go over that. So once you're happy with that, we're going to centre punch that using a centre punch. Punch that hole. Punch that hole. So to tap an M4 hole, you're meant to use a 3.25mm drill bit. Well, unfortunately all I've got is a 3mm, so I'm going to have to make that work. Just means tapping the hole will be a little bit tight, that's all. So we don't want to go all the way through this, so I need to be careful as we go. Let's just check what that looks like. So I'm just tapping these final holes now. So I started with quite a tapered tap, and moving towards this final tap now, it's more of a bottoming tap. So yeah, so I've had to drill and tap these out to an M4 to hold the magnetic bar on. So there's a few holes that you're going to have to drill in your lathe to fit this kit, because it would be amazing if you could just fit it, you know, on the bolt holes that are already there, but unfortunately not. So we shall do this instead. Right. They are now drilled out. So hopefully with them drilled out, these should just slot straight down. Right, so all these bolts that I'm using, they are supplied with the kit. Right, and just like that, our magnetic strip is on. Let's do that up a little bit. So I might Loctite them at a later date, but for now, just to get the ball rolling, we shall leave them there. So that's the compound slide there. Has now got the magnetic strip on it. Beautiful. So this is the fitting instructions, just quickly. And as you can see there, it shows the magnetic strip on the right hand side. Well, on mine I fitted it on the left hand side. And the reason because of that, sorry, is you then have got to fit this bracket down here, where on the lathe from standard there's two holes that come there, which I feel like steady, if you're going to use a steady. So by modifying this bracket slightly, just opening up one of the holes, you can actually fit it on there. So I don't know if this is going to work yet, obviously, because I haven't tried it, but I'm going to give it a go, put the bracket on there, put the slider back on, put the sensor back on, and plug it in, and we'll give it a go to see if it works. So I've finally got the sensor and magnetic strip all installed. After reviewing the instructions that came with the DRO, it actually turns out that the kit that Warco have supplied me is made for a completely different carriage setup than mine. So even if I fitted it on the correct side to which it said, there was just no way it was going to fit. Basically the carriage that's shown doesn't have this cut out, so the carriage just comes all the way to here, and the same on this side. So what I've actually had to do is made two little plastic bushes to space the sensor out. This now gives plenty of clearance and allows this to move up and down freely. I have checked already and we have got a reading on the DRO. So let me just wind this in, give me 2 seconds and I'll show you the DRO and it working. So as you can see there, we have the DRO set up and it is now reading. All the way back to 0. It's going to be really hard. Can we get it to 0? Oh, bang on! First time. So now we've got this one set up, we need to do the long one that goes across the bed. So for that I'm going to have to spin the lathe around because that one gets installed on the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is install this magnetic strip. So this is going to run along there like that. So to do so it's quite simple. It's got a 3M sticky tape on there. I've already wiped that down, make sure there's no grease on there. Right, so what I'm going to try doing, this was an old trick back in the garage. I've got a little bit hanging out the bottom there, so I'm going to get this in position where I think it should go, somewhere along there. Right, I'm now going to stick that down and hopefully peel this. Oh lovely, that's worked a treat, that has. So just push all that down now. So that is all stuck down. Bloody lovely, that. Right, next thing we need to do is install this bracket. So just quickly, I mounted the sensor underneath this bracket and held it up to the position it would be in, and it was actually miles off the magnetic strip. So I've had to modify the bracket there, put like a spacer block on there, and I've still got to drill and tap the holes for the sensor, but with that on there, that will now reach where it needs to. I've got to say, I'm actually really disappointed from this kit by Warco. I contacted like the sales team to make sure this was the right kit for my lathe, and they assured me it was, but there's no way you should have to modify parts so much to fit a lathe. You know, I understand drilling and tapping holes, that's fair enough, but having to actually modify brackets like that to fit, and again up here modifying that, it's yeah, I'm not too impressed by it, to be fair. But saying that, I think it's still going to work, still going to have a DRO on the lathe, so that cannot be grumbled at. So yeah, I'm just going to drill and tap these holes. Once I've done that, I'll come back and show you drilling and tapping into this block here. Right, so I've got the sensor mounted on this block that I've had to make up, or spacer plate. I've checked that on there and that does read correct now. So I now need to locate this on there, square it up, and once I'm happy, which I'm happy with that there, I think. 1, 2. Oh. So we've now got our marks on here where it needs to be drilled. So I now need to drill that and then tap it. So to make sure I didn't drill too far in, I measured what I needed to go, which was 10mm, and I just marked the end of the drill so I knew when 10mm was coming up. That's a good little key pointer in life if you ever need to do some blind drilling and don't want to drill all the way through what you're drilling through. So just tap these last of these holes. So when I've been doing this tapping in this cast, I've been using quite a tapered tap to start with, just to get things going, and then once I've got the ball rolling, I'll switch back to this. It's still a tapered tap, but it's more of a bottoming tap than a taper tap. So they should all be now tapped out. Right, so the moment of truth. Is this bracket going to fit on? Right, well, that's the first one in, that's a good sign. Second one, the hole looks like it lines up. So that's on there. Right, just need to do a little bit of adjustment. Nice, so we have movement. So here we have the sensor on the bed. Here we have the sensor on the compound slide. Will it or won't it read? Come on, baby. Right, so if we zero that. So first of all, I'm going to do the x-axis, see if that works. Yep, that is good. And now the bed movement. Oh yes. We have movement. So that's the DRO pretty much all installed. Just got to route some cables so nothing gets snagged up, but pretty much that is it all. I hope this has given you a good insight into fitting a DRO, and if you're thinking of fitting one of these, I hope it's going to help you out. If it does, please subscribe and drop a comment below just saying that you've subscribed. Really helps the channel move forward. So I've got a lot of cleaning to do now because the workshop is an absolute mess. But if you want to see more videos like this of me doing bits to the lathe, adding features on, then yeah, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a share. Any of the above is brilliant. So for now, go back, watch some of my previous videos, and I'll see you in the next one where we're going to be cracking on making the lightsaber part 2. See you in the next one.